So maybe you already have an Alder Lake build, or you're starting to upgrade your computer and you just want to know if DDR5 is worth it. Well, let's get into it. First off, let's talk about the base data rates. So DDR4 start at 1600 megahertz and DDR5 starts at 32 megahertz. So right off the bat, that's double the data rate it starts off at. We saw with DDR4 as manufacturing improved that it went up by 200 megahertz. I believe it started off around 2133 DIM, and then went up to 2400 DIM, and then 2600 DIM, and then 2800 DIM, and so on. I think all the way up to past 5000 megahertz. So if the baseline of DDR5 starts out at 3200 megahertz, imagine where it would be at from a couple years from now. Probably be like 8,000 for all we know. Now, should you upgrade to DDR5? Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. So first off, there's some things you're gonna have to take into consideration. So you're not just buying this new DDR5 and plug into your DDR4 motherboard. In order to upgrade DDR5, you have to have an Alder Lake chip already and a motherboard that supports DDR5. If you don't have a motherboard, then you're obviously gonna have to adopt a new motherboard. That's not including the RAM. So there's already 3 of the main pieces of your computer that you're gonna have to upgrade. If you already have an Alder Lake chip and the motherboard supports DDR5, you might be able to go ahead and upgrade to DDR5 if your budget allows. Just warn you, DDR5 can get pretty pricey. And we saw with previous platforms of DDR, as time went on of adopting these new platforms, prices went down. So it might not be a bad decision to just go ahead and keep your old RAM. Since the Alder Lake chips are backwards compatible with DDR4, you can keep your DDR4 RAM. And then as time goes on, you might be able to buy faster RAM for a cheaper price. Especially with how things are going right now, you might be able to eventually buy it at a cheaper price and get better RAM. So keep that in mind. I haven't heard anything yet if AMD's new Dragon Rage platform is going to be backwards compatible with DDR4, but given that Intel can do it, I assume that AMD would do it. I mean, you can't let your competitors compete that easily against you. You gotta put up some fight, you know? Now with all that being taken in, if you're not going to be able to take advantage of the new DDR5, then it might also not even be worth it in the first place. It's not also just about the RAM speed, it's also about the capacity. If you're doing things like 3D modeling, video editing, photo editing, those all have different requirements for your system's memory and how it's accessed. Let's talk about them a little bit. For video editors, it's not going to help your rendering times, it's just going to help when you're accessing footage or in your timeline. For photo editors, if you're dealing with very large files or with RAW files, then it's going to be accessing a lot of data at the same time. And all of that's going to be stored in your system memory, and more memory and faster speed equals less time and more productivity. For 3D modeling, you're not going to see a difference at all. It's solely dependent on the GPU, so you would benefit from a better GPU than upgrading your RAM. For gamers, you're not going to benefit from this at all. But what you would benefit from is the new Alder Lake chip. So they have these new performance and efficiency cores that take care of different tasks at the same time. Compared to the older CPUs where they're all fighting against each other, trying to do the same task, these performance cores and efficiency cores have separate tasks that work at the same time, allowing you to gain better performance. What you could do if you're wanting to upgrade your gaming computer but don't want to pay the price for DDR5 yet is you could either keep the RAM you have now, or if you want to get some new flashy RAM or even add more RAM, you can do that, and as time goes on you can switch out the DDR4 RAM with DDR5, allowing you to save some money. Because who doesn't like saving money? So everything we just talked about, the only people I really see benefiting from DDR5 is photo editors. So if you're not, just save your money. You can either upgrade your computer if you're going to and get the Alder Lake chip and keep DDR4 RAM or add more, and then just upgrade DDR5 as time goes on. Or If you're fine where you're at, just stay where you're at. Save your money, guys. And you might want to watch this video to figure out why this might change your mind about how much RAM or what RAM you're gonna get. And Tech Cafe, signing off.